Hello, it's the Coaster Craze, and today I'll be doing my newest park review, this time for Busch Gardens Tampa in Tampa Bay, Florida. So let's get right in here, but first I have to talk about a little bit of changes. So in previous park reviews, like for Six Flags America for example, I'd have a bunch of different categories, which I'll still be keeping, and then I would, out of 5, rank each one on how good the park is. And then I'd do an overall score out of 10, where it was just my personal opinion on the park. And though that was kind of fun to do, just get to see the exact thing I felt about the park, I feel like it can be a little biased sometimes. So I decided to implement scale into it, where I'll still have the same categories, but I'll rate them out of a different amount of points depending on how important the category is, and then I'll reveal my overall rating for the park out of 10 because all the categories are going to add up to 40. I'll divide the overall score to get that out of 10 score, and that's really just a more mathematical and more accurate way of how good I think the park is on an overall scale. So here's my first time implementing it. Busch Gardens Tampa. Appearance and cleanliness is this first category, and it's a very important one, so I'm making it out of 5. This is just the overall look of the park, not exactly the theming, but the landscaping, which is very important, and just how clean it is. And this park is absolutely beautiful, so I'll be giving it a perfect 5 out of 5. You'll see in all these different pictures, there's these nice little touches that they add to the park that just add so much. There's certain dead areas, like the one you're seeing right here with the butterfly, where there's really not much there. This is areas where Gwazi kind of was near. And this just really adds, as you're walking across the park, it just adds something. You don't need to just be staring at all these different coasters. You can stare at this beautiful, beautiful landscaping and all these little all the animals and everything. It just adds so much. And especially for example, this image right here. This was it felt like I was going into the jungle. I was going into the gorilla exhibit with all these misters and this dense foliage. It was just amazing. I just love the appearance of this park. Plus, it's just super clean. Theming is a slightly less important category, but still insanely important in just adding an extra oomph to the park. And Busch Gardens Tampa does a pretty great job of that. As you can see in these pictures, most of it's in the Pantopia section, which was a retheming of the Timbuktu section back when Falcon's Fury opened. And man, the section's architecture is just beautiful. As you see all these artifacts, it's stunning. They do a great job here, but sadly, it's not nearly as great in the rest of the park. Yes, there's some great areas still, like Egypt, with all the walls and the hieroglyphics, and Cobra's Curse is a great themed coaster. And the kids area has some pretty solid theming, but overall, there's only a little bit of touches of some nice theming throughout the park, so I'm going to be giving it a 3 out of 4 for this category. So it's not amazing theming, but it's still really, really good and way above average. My next category is operations, and this is out of 4. This is a pretty important category, and I think Busch Gardens Tampa does a pretty good job. I'm giving it a 3 out of 4. So I was there on a pretty dead day, which was pretty awesome, because almost everything was a walk-on. Scorpion, I pretty much walked on. Shikaro was basically, Montu was a walk-on. Everything was basically a walk-on, which was great. There was some with a little bit of lines, maybe 10 minutes or under, and that wasn't that bad at all. So I thought they did a pretty good job. So I didn't really get to see them with a lot of crowds to see how they do, but for what they had for the amount of crowds, they did a great job. My only problem was really Cheetah Hunt, where they had 4 trains running initially, and then they took one out because I guess they didn't need to run them, but it still was annoying to take out a train because it was literally basically a walk-on for me, but I had to wait about 15 minutes for them to take off the train and then retest the train. So it was just very annoying. So I have a problem with that. That's really my only gripe in terms of operations. The employees, the atmosphere, and the overall charm just add a lot to the park. And this park is just so fun to walk around. All these little touches. You get to see an elephant while you're walking around. It's crazy. In terms of employees, I didn't have a single problem with them. They're all fun. And overall, there's just a fun park to walk around. The charm is great with all the theming, and the appearance, like I said before, is beautiful. So those really just embellish the park, add a lot of charm to it, and make it a really unique wildlife park. Parks can be very taxing on your wallet, so I'll be giving Busch Gardens Tampa 2 out of 4 for pricing. The annual pass seems like a decent deal. I got a very good deal. I got $100 per person for both this and SeaWorld combined. That was a AAA deal. Regularly, the price is $90 or something, which is a ton of money. Not the best deal. And they also have some other benefits like a quick queue and an all-day dining deal, but overall the pricing here isn't terrible, but it's certainly not great, so I'm giving it a 2 out of 4, about average pricing. Food is the next category, and Busch Gardens Tampa has a good amount of food places, and they look very good. I personally ate at the Dragonfire Grill, and I had some Asian food, which was great, but I'm only giving it a 2 out of 3 for food, because I was hoping there'd be some authentic, like, African cuisine, because it's themed to Africa, but sadly there wasn't. It was just more standard amusement park fare, but it was still very good food, so I'm giving it a solid score. For family and kids rides, Busch Gardens Tampa doesn't have a ton. They have the bumper cars, they have two pretty solid water rides, a great River Rapids, Congo River Rapids, and the log flume, which I didn't get to try. Plus, they have like a carousel and a kids area, which has this little cute log flume, and a bunch of nicely themed rides, and a kiddie coaster, Air Grover. But overall, this park doesn't have a ton, so out of 5, I'm only giving it a 2 out of 5 for kids and family rides. I think they need more because there's not enough for the families and kids to do in terms of rides. Busch Gardens Tampa doesn't really have much in terms of thrill rides either. They have Phoenix, I believe it's called, which is this right here, this looping starship, and then they have Falcon's Fury, which is actually my favorite drop tower I've ever ridden, and it's probably one of the best in the world, if not the best. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 for this category. So yeah, they only have 2 thrill rides, and generally I would only give that like a 1, but since one of them happens to be Falcon's Fury, I'll up that score to a 2. But they really need more thrill rides, just be a great park, like, for example, maybe a Scream and Swing or even a Super Loop. Now I'm at the most important category. This is roller coasters, which is out of 7. And I'll start by recapping Busch Gardens Tampa Bay's roller coasters. So we'll start here with SheiKra, which is an awesome B&M dive coaster, the first in the US. Then there's Scorpion, which is a pretty solid Schwarzkopf looper, the oldest coaster in the park. Then there's Air Grover, which is a Zerier kiddie coaster. Cheetah Hunt, my favorite coaster in the park. It's an Intamin Blitz coaster. It's super long. There's Montu, which is a very large and long B&M invert coaster. There's Kumbo, which I sadly did not get to ride when I was there because it was closed for maintenance. I've heard it's one of the best in the park. Sand Serpent, a Mack Wild Mouse. And finally, Cobra's Curse, which is a Mack spinning coaster that's the newest coaster at the park and is heavily themed. So that concludes all the operating coasters. They also have Gwazi, which is standing but not operating, and it's kind of awkward just seeing this big wooden coaster in the back that's not operating. But so now I'm going to get into how good I think the park's coaster collection is. I'm giving it a 5 out of 7. So this has a spectacular coaster collection with some amazing rides like Cobra's Curse, SheiKra, and Montu, which I think were the 3 best that I rode. Kumbo's, again, an amazing coaster that I didn't get to ride. They got some solid family coasters like with Cobra's Curse, and Sand Serpent's okay. But overall, this park, they really need a coaster that emphasizes on airtime. Cheetah Hunt's got a little bit, but if you realize, all the major coasters have inversions, and I think that's a little bit of a problem, because if you don't like inversions, you're kind of screwed for coasters in this park. Like, there's not much to ride besides Cobra's Curse. So, overall, I think this park needs a little bit more variety, but for what they have a great coaster collection, especially considering they only have 8 operating coasters. Before I reveal the final score, I have extras, which aren't out of a certain category, but add points to it. So I'm adding 4 points for Busch Gardens Tampa's extras, because of the animals and the shows. So first off, the animals are just spectacular. You get on this train ride, which is free charge, Serengeti train, and you go around the park. It's awesome. We did the entire train ride. It was really relaxing and worth it. You get to see zebras up close. You get to see like giraffes. It's so awesome to see all these things, like all these different animals. It felt like you were in like the Lion King or something. It was awesome. And then plus, like, there's just so many animals around. Like, there's so much variety. Like, there's penguins even. Like, you get off of Cheetah Hunt and you can see like meerkats. It's pretty crazy, and I love the amount of animals. There's a sky ride, which I didn't get to do, but that goes like over the park and looks really pretty. So overall, this park just has a lot of like great animals. It's like a safari park. Plus, there's great shows, like for example this one, which is the Rock-a-Doo-Wop show. And so overall, this just adds a lot to the park and makes it super enjoyable, because it's not just about riding coasters and thrill rides, because there's so much great entertainment here. And now it all comes down to this, the overall score for Busch Gardens Tampa. After totaling in all the different points and dividing by 4, I have a 7.75 out of 10. So that's a pretty great score right there, because this is a tough like grading system. Because, well, it's all these different categories that the park has to be good at in order to get a great score. So I would consider 7.75 a pretty great score. Obviously, personally, I would consider this park more like an 8.5 to 9. Like, this is one of my favorite parks I've been to, just because like there's so much great stuff to do with like the rides and the animals and the shows. But this park, I think, still needs like to work on their coaster collection a little bit. And with the rumors about an RMC Gwazi, I think that would really help and like boost the score of this park a lot. Plus, like, I think they just need more like overall rides, like family rides and stuff. But this park is just great. It's one of my favorite parks in Florida. So if you're in Orlando, just go out to Tampa and get to this park because it is spectacular. You won't be disappointed. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Comment down below your opinions on Busch Gardens Tampa, and if you'd like to see any more of these park reviews. See you guys later from the Coaster Craze. Bye.